As Churchill said, democracy is not the best form of government, it's the best we have, quite frankly. The rest is just dictatorships. And I don't know what this man is talking about. He says that he loved representing his constituency, but he didn't like Parliament. Well, why on earth did he stay there? Was it the money? It's that sort of man, quite frankly, that we don't need. Another man who loved Parliament but hated what it had become, did something about it. And this is who it was. It was a man called Oliver Cromwell, which a lot of us know about. And this is what he said when he cleared Parliament. We need to do this, the people need to clear this Parliament. It's high time, he said, for me to put an end to your sitting in this place, which you have dishonoured by your contempt of all virtue, and defiled by your practice of every vice. You are a factious crew, and enemies to all good government. You are a pack of mercenaries, wretches, and would, like Esau, sell your country for a mess of pottage, and, like Judas, betray your God for a few pieces of money. Is there a single virtue now remaining amongst you? Is there one vice you do not possess? You have no more religion than my horse. Gold is your God. Which of you have not bartered your conscience for bribes? And that's a very good question. You are grown intolerably odious to the whole nation. You were deputed here by the people to get grievances redressed. Are yourselves gone? So take away that shining bauble there and lock the doors. In the name of God, go. And now, when he says grievances redressed, well, our grievance was that these men, like this Paddy Ashdown and all these people, were handing us over, and we were wanting them to stop it, because 75% of the British people did not want any part of Europe, and that is many polls showed that. And yet he says that it's dying. Well, of course it's dying. All countries and all great things are ideas, and if the idea is allowed to die, well, that's it. And we, the people, must not allow it to die, because what's actually happened is that these men have taken us into a European nightmare that nobody wanted. And I'll read something else to you here that another man wrote from ancient times. Well, not ancient times. His name was Thomas Jefferson, 1802. And he knew something. He really did know something. This is what he wrote. I believe that banking institutions are more dangerous to our liberties than standing armies. If the American people ever allow private banks to control the issue of their currency, first by inflation, then by deflation, the banks and corporations that will grow up around the banks will deprive the people of all property until their children wake up, homeless in the continent their fathers conquered. And that is what we are finding today. And, for instance, another man called Rees-Mogg, another man called Dale, I've got the book over there, they wrote about, in a book called The Great Reckoning, and they mentioned the fact that and they went through the whole scenario, this whole scenario going through, mentioning it was started in 2001, the book was written in 1993, and he started saying it started 2000, which is exactly what happened. It's the banks that has caused this problem in this country, like Thomas Jefferson said. We can't stop the government paying money to the banks. They're wrecking our economy. We should have let some of those banks go bankrupt. Instead of that, we're giving our money to failed organizations. We should have boosted good organizations and got rid of the failed ones. Instead of that, we're pouring money down a drain. We're just about to take another 50 billion, it's just been announced. Now, if you take everything that's been taken, including the money that was given to the banks, that amounted to 1.4 trillion, not billion, trillion, then the extra loans he's taking, and now there's 50 billion he's going to give now again, that it all amounts to 2.4 trillion. And not only I say that, but some very eminent economists in London say that, and other people as well. Not 250 billion or 25 billion they're now publicising. That is just the interest, monthly yearly interest. But that's what are we paying now? We've borrowed 2.45 trillion. Now our whole GDP is only about 2 trillion.
You've got company.
So we've spent more money on our banks than our GDP. We've got no money to help our engineering industry or anything else. They have crippled us. It doesn't make sense. It really does not make sense. Yet the banking industry is very important to this country. I know that. Trillions go through those banks every day. But to have bankrupted this nation to this degree, and then expect us to cheer Gordon Brown on because he's the hero of the world, well, he isn't. A lot of people haven't adopted his principles, especially the Germans. No, I'm not very happy about what's happened, and this is what they've handed us over into. You can see it. There we are. This is out the Mail this morning. This is the 5th of November. This is what they're saying. The powers that we have signed away, and I want to read them quickly. Foreign policy. The Lisbon Treaty gives its own legal personality to Europe, and therefore we will have unelected people, an unelected president, representing us. We've got one unelected queen, which in actual fact is enough, and I'm a monarchist. But to have another one imposed upon us is just not right. And of course, then we go on to criminal justice. EU judges will gain powers over areas of justice and policing for the first time. This could include giving the Quango Eurojust the power to order prosecutions in Britain. The EU's police force, Europol, will be able to initiate investigations in British soil for the first time. And who are they going to be investigating? Are they going to investigate the thieves down the road? Or whatever? People who like me, are concerned. We will be the ones that be investigated, I can assure you. And our sovereignty. The treaty contains so-called ratchet clauses that allow EU leaders to hand over new powers to Brussels without a new treaty. This self-amending power means Britain could lose its policy votes without a vote in Parliament, let alone referendum. So here we are. We've got that. Our sovereignty's gone. Labour laws. The Charter of Fundamental Rights, which is part of the treaty, contains 50 new rights. These include a right to strike, which could weaken Britain's labour laws and make it easier for union barons to wreak havoc. We've already got havoc. We've gone through 10 or 15 years since Margaret Thatcher sorted out the unions of comparative peace, from being the worst in Europe to have comparative peace. Now they want to reverse that and destroy the nation. That's right, it'll destroy the nation, destroy our industries. Industry will run over the borders. To them, that's what will happen. Transport. The treaty scraps the British veto in 16 areas, including transport. This could lead to introduction of EU-wide road pricing scheme for Britain. There we are. Once again, tax on tax on top of tax on top of tax. We can't afford it. Defence. The treaty calls the EU to move towards a common defence policy, which many experts believe pave the way for an EU army. Now there we are. We're going to have an EU army. Something that we've always, part of our policy of this nation is to stop this happening. Instead of that, we are now allowing it to happen and pushing it forward. Immigration and asylum. The treaty makes it more likely Britain could be forced to accept asylum seekers. Brussels may also get a say in the level of benefits paid to asylum seekers. Well, this just goes on and on and on. What are these traitors doing? How can these MPs sit in Parliament? You know, what our friend said is so true. Oliver Cromwell made that speech, and he said that these men should leave. If they don't want to rule, get out. Get out of Parliament. What they've done, they've forced us into the most corrupt union in the world, where 95% of the budget is missing. Not according to me, according to their own EU auditors. It says unaccounted for. 95% of the budget of trillions, if you take the 27 member states. Trillions is unaccounted for. Yes, and this is what Paddy Ashdown seems to think we should go for. Scrap the British Parliament and go for this. What a nasty thought. And yet there's past 200,000 laws. That's what we got. 200,000 laws, which nobody can read. None of the MEPs have read them. Most of them, when you ask them, say, well, he knew it was a good idea, so I voted because of that. And if they don't vote for it, they pull before the Commission, etc. There is so much wrong here, and it's been done on the whole basis of this organisation is based on lies, corruption, deceit, and treachery, absolute treachery. Blair in his time promised us twice referendums. No matter, even if all the nations of Europe turned it down, we would get a referendum, and that was turned away. And Brown's done the same thing. Vote in the next election. Vote for UKIP. Vote for independence, and vote for even BNP. I would be horrified if they came to power, but we've got to get this Parliament reduced. Lib Lab Con, who've done so much damage to this nation, must be got out. Thank you very much.